They've stood well enough, I haven't tied them up. Peas, same thing, you know, they got the tentacles, and if you have the cattle panel right beside the row, and I put the cattle panel in the day that I plant the peas, as they come up, the tentacles will just find the cattle panel and they'll just work their way up. Planted potatoes, and they seem to do real well. Radishes, lettuce, beets. Oh, and then broccoli and cauliflower, the cabbage. I think it's real easy for those, the cabbage, broccoli, to get them a little dry. That's the ones you kind of got to watch to make sure you get them watered. They can get dry on you and you don't realize it.
What about carrots?
I haven't done it, but they should. It should work. I always have trouble with germination on the carrots, getting get a good stand. Then the other thing too is got deer. And I don't know how many, but
Rabbits?
well, that's the thing with these raised beds. The rabbits don't become a problem because they go up there.
Legs aren't long enough, huh?
So if you don't have access to any of that cattle stuff,
Yeah.
what can you use in, like here in town, that would be
Similar.
Similar, yeah.
I think you could use like just, you know, these cattle, garden catalogs, you have like mesh netting or sometimes on beans, they have string that you just go back and forth. And I don't know if that would hold a tomato up. They're kind of a heavy thing, but.
I always use those tomato cages.
Yep. Yep, I know what you're talking about.
That keeps them off the ground pretty good, but as they grow sometimes, you gotta make sure you are careful getting the.
Yeah.
Lightning has been detected in your area.
Oh, boy.
Yes.
Channel 7 will work.
Okay. Yeah, that would work. The cages would work, as far as trying to keep them.
Just the main goal is to keep it off the ground
Yeah.
some way.
You just put the disease at a disadvantage. Not saying you can't have disease, it's just, you're, put it at a disadvantage. So,
Where- The dirt, do you just go out to a field and dig it up, or?
yeah, basically that's what I've done. We've got a pile of dirt at my place, and we just rock that. And then I've got a compost pile, and we kind of, there's no real good scientific method. Yes, sir.
Have you tried any commercial fertilizer?
No, I haven't, because I feel like I've got enough manure underneath. It's, I don't worry about that.
Well, some plants need more nitrogen and or phosphorus than others.
Well, I was,
Then, you know, you could go to a garden store, like Earl Mays or whatever, and get a, you know, 10, 20, 40 or something like that.
I was really disappointed in my onion crop.
Takes a while for manure to break down, is what I'm saying.
I understand that. Disappointed in my onion crop last year, and I was seriously thinking, they have a fertilizer specific for onions. And I was seriously thinking about buying some of that. I thought, well, maybe that'd help my onion crop. At the last minute, I decided not to buy it. But yeah, you could use commercial fertilizer.
After the first year, you wouldn't till the soil, but you work it up?
Yeah, I get right up in the bed with a spade, and I turn it over. That's probably the hardest part of the whole thing. Yeah, I just turn it over. Oh, one thing I did last year was, after the spring crops are out, I planted some hairy vetch as a cover crop, just a green manure crop. It seemed to really flourish and got a nice fall growth, and it all stayed there and went back into the soil. So that's something else you can do as a cover crop. So, yeah.
Okay, have you seen any place like a nursing home where they use the raised beds to allow residents in wheelchairs to go out and garden?
I used to have an uncle that was at the Western Home
Okay.
in Cedar Falls, and that's what, they had some raised beds. And they had a kind of a tile area. And I would assume that they could get up close with wheelchairs. It was kind of a outdoor sitting area, and they had raised beds. I don't know if they had flowers or vegetables. I don't know what was there. But yeah. it can be done.
If you don't use treated lumber, do you need to do something to it,
To the wood,
to the wood?
don't have to.
How
I mean-
long will that last?
Oh, quite a while, I'd say 20 years or so.
I don't know about that.
Longer than that.
Yeah.
You leave your rake handle out there over a couple winters, buy a new rake handle.
Yeah.
Precipitation has been detected in your area.
Was there a reason that you only did the one board for the rhubarb versus putting it up higher like like the two boards you normally use?
Kind of the moisture thing. I was afraid that I'd be watering them a lot, and I didn't want to do that. And I thought if I just had one board, I mean, I think you could probably do it with just like a 2x6. Just the nice thing is you can weed eat right up to it, you know, and trim it up, and then if you pull the weeds in the bed, it just looked nice.
I made mine with decking boards and they lasted a long, long time.
Oh, I bet.
That's only like 6 inches, 5.5 inches though, high, but they last a long time.
Nope.
And he gets in there with the teller.
Does he? Oh, okay. Well, that'd work. Yep. You wouldn't have to spade it.
That's right.
Now when you're spading that though, Joel, aren't you moving a lot more of your sand down deeper when you?
Yeah, you do. You tend to.
Yeah.
You tend to mix it up and dilute it out a little bit.
Do you ever mulch? Use any mulch at all on any of them?
Yeah, but not a lot. I mean, you could.
What-
I'm not against mulch by any means.
Yeah. What are you using if you use any mulch?
Just, I've got some rotten corn stalk bales.
Yeah.
And you can just put that around there.
So root products will grow in it, I mean, you have to have it, how deep your soil, how deep, or how high?
Oh, my soil is like 16 inches deep.
16.
So, you know, carrot's probably the deepest, you know, 8, 10 inches.
So you were able to do potatoes,
Yeah,
beets.
yeah, if the deer don't eat them. I call that's the worst thing with these raised beds. The deer just think it's a salad bar. I had jalapeno peppers. And last fall, you know, it was getting towards when it was gonna frost, and I was gonna go and pull all the jalapenos off. And I thought, well, I'll just pick them real close, you know. I had 4 pepper plants in a row. And the first 3, everything was gone but the flowers. And the 4th one, there was, you know, some peppers on it. Where'd they go? And I think the deer came along and just ate the jalapenos.
Oh, good. I bet they didn't come back.
I don't know.
Bet they went for water.
I thought, oh my God. One time I was digging carrots. This was in the conventional garden. And it was kind of late. It was late October. And digging the carrots. And all of a sudden there'd be more carrots. The deer had eaten the tops off the carrots into the ground, you know, just a little bit. And I'd be digging along and I'd pop up a carrot. Yeah.
One thing, that I found out in our acres with the deer is that you can use the Irish spring soap, and it has to be the green.
The green. Okay.
And then if you shave it, like use a carrot peeler or whatever, and shave it, or a knife, and just shave it, and put it wherever your deer seem to be a bother, like the hostas they get into, everything out there. And that does work for me. So a neighbor in our area had suggested that as well, so.
Okay.
Irish spring soap, but it has to be green, and just shave it and put it wherever you want it.
Okay.
For the deer.
I will try that because
Yeah, it works for us out there.
I've used blood meal and that seems to work, but every time it gets a rain, it kind of dilutes it down. And you
Well,
gotta
and with the rain and the soap, it might get smaller, the little shavings, but it's still, and then you might have to, redo
Go back and redo it.
But yeah,
relatively cheap too.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple Mars or so, we do a lot.
Yeah,
so.
right.
Couple things I wanted to do is give a pitch for the library. They have several magazines here that come to the library that they take, Iowa Gardener, Mother Earth News, Capper's Farmer, Hobby Farms, Garden Gate, Country Gardens, and one on herbs. And they're monthly, quarterly, whatever. And then they have several books. They've got one book specifically on raised bed gardens that you can check out, look at. I would encourage you, before you spend a lot of time and money, just looking at books, seeing what works, and before you decide to jump in. But anyway, vertical gardening, got a nice selection out there. Lori Schaefer is interested in kind of having a gardening group. Want to know if there's any interest in a gardening group. She was very specific. She didn't want a garden club. She doesn't want to form another club. But if there's interest in, I don't know, sharing ideas throughout the summer, looking at how other people do things, why, sounds like she'd be interested in facilitating that or organizing that. So, and then June, I think it's 14th, she's planned a little mini tour here in town. I think we're gonna start at the co-op. We've got some raised beds. I had the questions, or the photo there. Hopefully by then the tomatoes and the cucumbers will be growing. Take a look at that, and then she had, I think, 2 other gardens lined up to go see.
Yes, next Wednesday, we'll meet, it's at 2:30 at Donna Kirsten's. We'll meet at the library at 2 to carpool. And then, I think toward the end, I'm sorry I showed these dates. Then we're gonna also go out to Linda Sawyer's, who is the Buckingham School. And she's done some very creative things in the yard. They used the old windows from the house and made a kind of a greenhouse thing out in the yard. And so, I'll get you that information. And then, I think that's the end of May. The end of June, Kathy Weber is going to host us, and her farm was one of the prettiest in Iowa, I think in the January issue of Our Iowa. So that'd give me some inspiration.
Now, she's just locally here then?
Yeah, she's on Highway 8 toward Dysart.
Okay, very good.
Yes.
I'd like to put a pitch in for our extension. If you're having problems, they've got a hotline you can call,
Oh, okay.
and they're very, very helpful in whatever questions you might have about anything. Flowers, vegetables, whatever. So it's a real handy thing where you're talking to somebody, you're not trying to find it on the internet. So just call the extension, they can give you the number, or you can call me.
Okay.
Have you done any flowers?
Do I what?
Have you done any flowers in raised beds?
Not really, no.
Well, you
I
have
do,
some
I put
tulips.
marigolds around.
Well, that's,
And they do great.
That's
Cindy.
Cindy.
Yeah, that's Cindy.
But those are raised.
Yeah, they are. If you look at the co-op on the east side, the
Oh, great.
tulips have
By the-
just started coming out.
Oh.
They really look sharp, so.
Did you build the one
Yeah.
on the end of the building?
Yeah, we did, we built it. But that's kind of Cindy Burish's project. She does the flowers, I do the vegetables. She goes out there and puts around it and does
Well,
that.
that one's interesting because it's a different heights and
Yes.
they're different, yeah. I like that.
Originally, she put phlox down low and kind of creeping and colorful, and then the tulips. Yeah, the tulips are really, just in the last day or two, started to pop out. So got a nice assortment of colors. So.
One thing about mulch, they'll mow our pasture, so I went out, I got all the nice grass after it dried, and I put it around the garden. I didn't have a garden for 2.5 years, hopefully this year. He didn't tell me he'd sprayed it. Weeds. So I didn't have a lot of, I went through 3 packages of beets, never got a beet. It was bad. So just be careful where you get your mulch at.
Okay, very good. It sounds like the voice of experience.
Yes. The weeds still grew though, that's the thing.
Well, thank you. You've been a very good audience. I appreciate your time tonight. I hope that it's been educational and interesting.